The massive view screen flickered with static, casting an eerie blue light across the cramped bridge of the human warship. Captain J. Park stood motionless, his weathered hands gripping the command console, eyes fixed on the endless darkness of space. Behind him, the remaining crew of the Horizon moved with practiced efficiency, each person knowing their survival depended on absolute precision. It had been 18 months since Earth fell. 18 months since the Hegemony's massive fleet descended through the atmosphere, transforming cities into molten landscapes and reducing human civilization to scattered remnants. The Horizon was more than a ship now. It was humanity's last hope, a silent promise of revenge and survival. Yuna Kim, the ship's first officer, approached Jay with a data tablet. Her fingers moved quickly, highlighting tactical readings that told a grim story. 4 Hegemony patrol clusters detected in the Orion sector, she reported. Her voice was calm, almost clinical. They're still searching for any remaining human resistance. Jay nodded, a thin smile crossing his lips. The Hegemony believed they had crushed humanity completely. They didn't know about the Horizon, a ship built in secret, using experimental technologies that even most human scientists had considered impossible. The ship was small, but deadly. Quantum camouflage systems made it virtually invisible to standard scanning technologies. Adaptive quantum shielding could absorb and redistribute energy from weapon impacts, and its propulsion system, a quantum fold drive, allowed it to move in ways that defied traditional space navigation. Their current mission was simple, yet impossible: survive, gather intelligence, and find a way to strike back. Every system on the ship was designed for maximum efficiency. The crew of 87 was a carefully selected group, each member a specialist, each role critical to their survival. "Navigation," Jay called out. "Plot a course through the debris field in the Centauri region. We'll use the electromagnetic interference as cover." A young navigator named Hoon responded quickly, his fingers dancing across holographic controls. The ship's trajectory began to shift, weaving between massive chunks of destroyed spacecraft and cosmic debris. Survival wasn't just about avoiding detection, it was about understanding their enemy. The Hegemony wasn't a single species, but a confederation of advanced civilizations that had long ago decided that humanity was a threat to be eliminated. Their technology was generations ahead of human capabilities. Their fleet was massive and their strategy was ruthless. But they didn't know about the Horizon's secret weapon, a quantum disruption cannon that could theoretically disable entire fleet networks. It was an experimental technology, developed in the final months before Earth's fall by a team of scientists who knew they were humanity's last hope. Yuna moved to a secondary console, monitoring external sensor arrays. "Anomalous energy signature detected," she said suddenly. "It doesn't match any known Hegemony fleet configuration." Jay approached, studying the readout. The signature was strange. Not quite alien, not quite human. Something in between. A potential ally? Or another threat? The ship's interior was a marvel of compact design. Every inch served a purpose. Sleeping quarters were minimalist. Storage areas were meticulously organized, and every piece of equipment was multifunctional. They couldn't afford waste, not anymore. Outside the ship, space remained indifferent. Countless stars watched silently as the Horizon continued its lonely journey, carrying the weight of an entire species' future. One ship, 87 souls. The last resistance. "Prepare long-range communication burst," Jay ordered. "Encrypted on all human resistance frequencies. Let's see if anyone is listening." The message was simple. Coordinates. A coded signal. A beacon of hope in the vast dark emptiness. Humanity wasn't finished. Not yet. The Horizon moved silently. A ghost ship with a mission that could change everything. Waiting. Watching. Preparing to fight back. "Would you like me to continue with the next part of the story?" The Horizon drifted through the outer rim of a dense asteroid field, its quantum camouflage systems humming softly. Captain J. Park leaned forward, studying the holographic map that showed the intricate network of Hegemony communication relays. Each blue line represented a potential pathway, each intersection a vulnerable point of attack. Yuna Kim worked beside him, her fingers moving rapidly across multiple data interfaces. "I've identified a potential weakness," she said quietly. Her voice carried a mix of excitement and caution. "Their communication network relies on a centralized quantum entanglement system. If we can disrupt the primary relay, we could create a massive communication blackout." The plan was audacious. The hegemony believed their communication network was impenetrable. Layers of encryption, quantum-locked channels, and multiple redundancy systems made it seem impossible to breach. But the humans had been studying, watching, learning. Hoon, the navigation specialist, adjusted the ship's approach. Microscopic thrusters fired with precision, moving the horizon closer to the outer edges of the hegemony's communication grid. Each movement was calculated, each micro-adjustment a potential difference between discovery and survival. "We'll need to get closer," Jay muttered. His eyes never left the holographic display. Years of military training had taught him that the most dangerous moments often looked like complete calm. The ship's interior was tense. Crew members moved with practiced efficiency, each person understanding their critical role. In the small, medical bay, a team prepared emergency systems. In the engineering section, technicians monitored quantum shielding and propulsion capabilities. Suddenly, a warning beacon flashed on Yuna's console. "Passive scan detected," she announced. "Low-frequency electromagnetic pulse. They're sweeping the sector." Jay's response was immediate. "Quantum fold maneuver. Now." The ship seemed to fold into itself, bending the very fabric of space-time. For a fraction of a second, the horizon existed everywhere and nowhere. When it rematerialized, it was several thousand kilometers from its previous position. "Close," Jay said. It wasn't a complaint, just an observation. The communication relay looked like a massive metallic structure, floating in the emptiness of space. Thousands of transmission nodes connected in a complex web, each point a potential entry or weakness. To the hegemony, it was a marvel of technological achievement. To Jay and his crew, it was a target. Yuna had been working on a special piece of technology, a quantum decryption module that could potentially break through the hegemony's most advanced communication barriers. It was a risk. If it failed, they would immediately be detected. "Preparing infiltration sequence," she said, her voice steady. The module was small, no larger than a human hand, but its potential was enormous. Designed to mimic the quantum signature of hegemony communication protocols, it could potentially slip through their defensive systems like a ghost. Jay watched the progress. Each percentage point of the infiltration sequence felt like an eternity. 22%, 45%, 63%, 77%. A sudden alarm broke the tension. "Incoming patrol vector," Hoon announced. 3 hegemony scout ships were converging on their position. "Hold position," Jay commanded. "Do not move." The quantum camouflage system worked perfectly. To the approaching patrol, the horizon was invisible, just another piece of cosmic debris floating in the vast darkness. The scout ships passed close enough that the crew could see their intricate designs through the external cameras. Massive. Deadly. Completely unaware of the human ship mere kilometers away. "Infiltration complete," Yuna said finally. Her voice carried a hint of triumph. The quantum decryption module had found its way into the hegemony's communication network. They now had access. Not total control, but enough to start understanding their enemy's most intimate communication channels. "We're in," Jay said simply. Outside, stars continued their silent watch. The horizon remained invisible, a ghost ship with a dangerous secret. The first step of their counterattack had begun. Would you like me to continue with the next part of the story? The communication intercept revealed more than just hegemony military transmissions. Hidden between encrypted channels, Yuna discovered a series of underground communication networks, signals from oppressed species trying to survive under hegemony control. One transmission caught her attention, a series of coded mathematical, sequences that didn't match any standard hegemony communication protocol. Something different. Something human. "Captain," she called, "I've found something." J. Park studied the transmission. Mathematical patterns woven like a complex language. Each sequence told a story of resistance, of hope, of survival against impossible odds. The transmission originated from a mining colony in the Epsilon sector, a region known for its harsh conditions and complete hegemony control. Buried within, the mathematical code was a set of coordinates and a simple message: survivors seeking alliance. The Horizon's crew discussed the risks. Approaching the coordinates could be a trap. The hegemony was known for creating false communication channels to identify and eliminate resistance groups. But something felt different about this transmission. Their first contact came unexpectedly. A small shuttle emerged from behind a massive asteroid, its design unlike any hegemony vessel. Damaged, barely functional. When they established visual communication, they saw him, Kiro, a survivor from a world conquered long before Earth fell. Kiro's species looked almost human, bipedal, with slight variations in skin tone and bone structure. His eyes carried a mixture of hope and deep painful memories. "We've been watching your transmissions," Kiro explained. His language translated smoothly through the ship's communication systems. "Your quantum encryption is different. Unique." The story he shared was devastating. His homeworld had been the first conquered by the hegemony generations ago. A peaceful civilization transformed into a resource extraction colony. Millions died. Millions more became slave labor. "Not all species in the hegemony support their conquest," Cairo revealed. "Many are waiting, watching, hoping for a chance to resist." Jay understood the opportunity immediately. A network of resistance. Small groups, isolated, but connected through hope. The Horizon became more than a ship. It became a beacon. A symbol that resistance was possible. Yuna's technology proved crucial. The quantum communication module they'd developed could now connect these isolated resistance groups, share intelligence, coordinate potential actions. "We can't defeat the hegemony alone," Jay explained to his crew, "but together we might have a chance." Kiro brought valuable intelligence, detailed maps of hegemony supply routes, weaknesses in their defensive networks, information about internal conflicts within the alien confederation. The mining colony where Kiro originated became their first secret base, a location to repair the ship, exchange information, and plan their next moves. Not everyone was convinced. Some crew members saw Kiro as a potential security risk. Others recognized the strategic value of building a multi-species resistance movement. Hoon, the navigation specialist, developed new communication encryption techniques. Each transmission became a complex mathematical puzzle that only specific resistance groups could decode. The hegemony had ruled through division. They separated species, prevented communication, crushed any potential unified resistance. Now that strategy was being used against them. Small resistance cells began sharing information. A supply route disrupted here. A communication network compromised there. Individual actions that seemed insignificant individually, but could become powerful when coordinated. "We're not just fighting for our own survival," Jay told his crew. "We're fighting for every species the hegemony has oppressed." The Horizon continued its journey, no longer just a human ship, now a symbol of something larger. Hope, resistance, the possibility that even the most powerful system could be challenged. Outside, stars continued their silent vigil, watching, waiting. As a small ship moved through the darkness, carrying the first sparks of a potential revolution. "Would you like me to continue with the next part of the story?" The hegemony's central command planet loomed like a massive metal sphere, surrounded by thousands of defense platforms and battleships. Captain J. Park studied the holographic display, tracing potential attack vectors with his finger. "We have one chance," he told his crew. One moment of surprise. Their network of resistance allies had provided critical intelligence. A rare moment of vulnerability in the hegemony's defensive grid. a small window where their quantum communication disruption could create maximum chaos. Yuna Kim had spent weeks preparing their primary weapon, the quantum disruption cannon. It wasn't a traditional weapon of destruction, but a sophisticated electronic warfare system designed to completely collapse communication and navigation networks. Cairo's intelligence had been crucial. He revealed a critical weakness in the hegemony's central command structure. Their entire military communication relied on a single quantum entanglement network. Disrupt that network, and their entire military coordination would collapse. The Horizon moved silently, using every advanced stealth technology they possessed. Quantum camouflage made them invisible. Adaptive shielding could absorb potential weapon impacts. Their small size worked as an advantage against massive battle platforms designed to track large vessels. Approaching primary communication relay, Hoon announced. His hands moved precisely across navigation controls. The first phase of their attack would be electronic, a massive burst of quantum-encrypted signals designed to confuse and overwhelm the hegemony's defensive systems. Like a computer virus, but infinitely more complex. Suddenly, alarm systems blared. They had been detected. Multiple targeting systems active, Yuna reported. Her voice remained calm. Incoming weapon locks from 3 battle platforms. Jay's response was immediate. Quantum fold maneuver. Now. The ship seemed to bend through space itself, appearing kilometers away from its previous position. The targeting systems of the hegemony ships suddenly showed empty space where the Horizon had been moments before. Their resistance allies were simultaneously attacking multiple communication nodes across different sectors. Small actions designed to create maximum confusion. Each attack was precisely timed, each movement calculated to create a cascading system failure. The quantum disruption cannon fired, a pulse of energy that wasn't a traditional weapon, but a sophisticated electronic attack. Communication channels across the hegemony's central command began to collapse. Battle platforms started firing randomly. Navigation systems failed. Communication networks became a chaotic mess of scrambled signals and lost connections. Direct hit, Yuna confirmed. Communication network is collapsing. The hegemony's strength had always been its ability to coordinate massive military actions across multiple star systems. Now, that strength became its greatest weakness. Without communication, their massive military machine began to break down. Smaller ships began colliding. Defense platforms lost targeting capabilities. The perfectly organized hegemony military suddenly looked like a confused, panicking organism, but the human ship wasn't out of danger. Multiple weapon systems were now tracking their position. Each moment increased their risk of destruction. Prepare emergency quantum fold, Jay commanded. We need to extract immediately. The battle wasn't about destroying the hegemony in a single moment. It was about proving they could be challenged, about showing other oppressed species that resistance was possible. As the Horizon prepared to escape, Kiro's voice came through the communication system. You've done it, he said. You've shown everyone that the hegemony isn't invincible. The ship folded through space, disappearing just as massive energy weapons converged on their previous position. They had struck their blow, created chaos, inspired hope, and their mission was far from over. Would you like me to continue with the final part of the story? The aftermath of their attack spread like wildfire across multiple star systems. What began as a single human ship's mission had transformed into a galaxy-wide resistance movement. Reports came from everywhere. Oppressed colonies began rising against their hegemony controllers. Communication networks remained in chaos, making coordinated suppression impossible. The perfect machine of alien control had suddenly developed critical failures. Captain J. Park watched the developing situation from the Horizon's bridge. Their small crew of 87 had become something more than just survivors. They were now symbols of hope. Kiro's resistance network expanded rapidly. What was once a collection of isolated groups now communicated and coordinated. They shared technological adaptations, strategic information, and most importantly, belief that change was possible. We're receiving transmission requests from 17 different star systems, Yuna reported. Her fingers moved across communication interfaces, managing an increasingly complex network of resistance communications. The hegemony's response was predictable but ineffective. They tried to reassert control through massive military deployments. But without their sophisticated communication networks, these deployments became isolated, uncoordinated actions. Each resistance group had learned from the Horizon's tactics. Small, precise actions. Disruption instead of direct confrontation. Electronic warfare that targeted communication systems rather than engaging in traditional battles. Hoon developed new communication encryption techniques that spread like a technological virus. Resistance groups could now communicate securely, share intelligence, and coordinate actions across vast distances. The human ship became more than a vessel. It became a legend. Stories spread about the single ship that had struck at the heart of the most powerful military force in the known galaxy. Technological innovations, developed by the Horizon's crew, began appearing in resistance movements. Quantum camouflage techniques, advanced electronic warfare modules, communication encryption systems that made previous security protocols look primitive. "We're not just fighting," Jay told his crew. "We're creating a new way of resistance." Their attack had revealed a critical weakness in the hegemony's structure. Their centralized control, once their greatest strength, had become their most significant vulnerability. Smaller species that had been conquered generations ago began reclaiming territories. Mining colonies stopped production. Communication networks became channels of resistance instead of control. The transformation wasn't just military, it was cultural. The belief that resistance was possible spread faster than any weapon could travel. Kiro's network played a crucial role. They provided local intelligence, helped coordinate resistance actions, and gave hope to populations that had forgotten what freedom meant. Weeks turned into months. The hegemony's control began to fragment. What once seemed like an unbreakable system now looked like a complex structure with multiple fracture lines. The Horizon continued its mission, always moving, always watching, never staying in one place long enough to be targeted. "We're not looking to destroy," Jay explained during a communication with resistance leaders. "We're looking to create space for freedom, for choice." Their technological innovations became more than weapons. They became tools of communication, of understanding, of building connections between different species who had been deliberately kept apart. The galaxy was changing, not through massive battles, but through small, precise actions, through the spread of information, through the radical idea that no system of control is truly absolute. As star systems began to report increasing levels of resistance, the Horizon's crew understood something profound. They were no longer just survivors. They were architects of a new galactic order. Yuna looked at the communication maps. What had started as isolated resistance groups now looked like a complex, interconnected network of hope. "We're not finished," Jay said, looking at the star charts. "This is just the beginning." The small ship continued its journey. Invisible, precise, a beacon of possibility in the vast darkness of space. "Would you like me to provide any additional details or insights about the story?"